Oh, are you okay? So if my dad and I were doing some push hands here, we can use this as a sort of template to practice a bunch of different applications and ways of fighting. So I might do something like that. And actually, my dad was able to cover it right there. So over time, you kind of start getting this reflex training and learning how to deal with and re-attack based on what's being thrown at you. Understanding the martial applications in the Tai Chi form can seriously enhance your Tai Chi practice. At the WTBA, we like to show a basic application for pretty much every movement of the form, but there's ultimately tons of different applications because what we want to do is take the essence of each posture and apply it to a fighting situation. We don't want to take exactly what's happening in each movement because there's tons of reasons for doing Tai Chi postures. So what I want to do is show you guys a few different applications today, so I'm not just doing the very basic application. So if I have my dad come over here, I'm just going to have him do I'm going to do the application for the first move of the form. So what we often show people is that we're going to be choked, and we need to have our arms up to block their attack, and we're sticking our fingers directly in their eyes and scraping down or striking down on the collarbone. There's a bunch of nice points there. And that looks very much like what's happening here. But if I use a different application, so maybe something a little more realistic, my dad's going to throw a straight punch at me with his left hand, so I'm going to be blocking out. I'm going to actually open up here on his head and strike down on the neck. So you see, it's the same movement. It's the essence of what I'm doing with the posture, but I'm applying it in a slightly different way. Another good way of using that, the same punch, but I'm going to come off to this side, and you can either strike in the head, or you can even do an arm break right there. Could be kind of nice. So I'm just using that same posture. Let's take another movement. I'm going to use the second move in the form, just coming to here. So we have a training method called the small sansao, which you can check out right up here if you're interested in that, where I'm going to have my dad throw kind of the classic haymaker style punch at my face, and I'm going to block it like this. In the form, we would just do a swivel, but in the application, I would want to be moving. Now from there, he would often throw a lower punch here, and that's those two shapes. But if I want to do something a little bit more realistic, again, he would throw that same punch, right? I can actually go for a nice arm break, and then I have his face right here. I can do a bunch of stuff. Now that's the same posture in the form, right? But I'm applying it in a slightly different way. Let's look at another movement. I'm gonna use Chee. So I'm going roll back and Chee, okay? So the basic posture, or the basic application for that would be, I'm gonna be struck down here, so roll back, and then Chee right into the neck. If he was taller, you might go right into like a liver point or something like that. And that looks very much like how it looks in the form. If I want to do something slightly different, I can have a straight punch coming at me, and you can strike something like that. So I'm just showing you guys how we can take the essence of each posture and apply it to something more realistic. So let's check out one more application. Let's say I wanted to do single whip from the form, right? So a lot of people would show the application for single whip as being this side right here. Okay, so if my dad was going to throw a punch at me, maybe it would be something like that, and then you strike in the neck or something, right? But it's called single whip, and this is where a lot of the applications are actually happening, not necessarily that. I feel like that's more for the nice stretch and a good balance posture. But a more realistic application might be a straight punch coming here, and you can hammer down on the arm, which pulls their head forward, and you strike them in the neck. So that looks pretty much exactly like what's happening in the form as well. Let's say I wanted to do something slightly different, but still keeping the essence of that posture. Let's say my dad threw the first punch again, so I was still blocking with this side, But then what I can do is do like a change step and strike him in the temple with this single whip structure. From there, I can always hammer down on his arm, breaking it this way, and then strike into the neck. So you can take tons of elements of each posture and apply it to different applications for fighting. What we often do is not just stand there throwing random punches at each other, but we'll actually do what's called push hands. So if my dad and I were doing some push hands here, we can use this as a sort of template to practice a bunch of different applications and ways of fighting. So I might do something like that. And actually, my dad was able to cover it right there. So over time, you kind of start getting this reflex training and learning how to deal with and re-attack based on what's being thrown at you. What I can also do is use elements of the postures that I was just practicing. So let's say I wanted to do a single whip. I might find an opportunity during push hands and do the single whip structure that we were just talking about. So there's tons of ways to learn how to apply this. And over time, you can actually start to kind of full-on spar with your partner, as long as you're both okay with that, to the point where I'm really going to try to hit you, and you really have to block it, or you're going to get hit. So if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, definitely check out taichiworld.com for more information. I'm going to post links in the description below. And feel free to subscribe if you want to find out more about Tai Chi for fighting and healing. I will see you guys in the next video.